was very keen on leading the West African area of the continent, essentially with the resources from within Nigeria, extending some of those resources to them. And it brings forward the question of, should we tighten up EU? President Buhari had the notion to close the borders, right? To say nothing from outside should come inside. However, there was no exception to the idea around what is inside can go outside, and at what price it goes outside may not have been set right or may not have really mattered. What do I mean? For example, the issue of petrol subsidy. We have pipelines that run to Niger officially. We have supplies that are both officially crossing the borders and not crossing the borders. And that was a very interesting scenario because I do hear the price of petrol in those countries have taken a hike since petrol subsidy removal was done in Nigeria. Now you find the attributes of the pattern of the two men completely different. One said, I'm removing subsidy, but never removed it because of, he said it will pretty much affect the conduct and the affairs of the chances of the APC in the 2023 elections if he had done so. That's President Buhari. At least that's the defense that Garba Shehu, a spokesperson at the time, put forward even in recent times to say President Buhari did not remove it because APC will have lost the election if he had removed fuel subsidy. Meanwhile, the other man took on the action and removed fuel subsidy. That's Tinubu removing subsidy almost immediately as he was sworn into office. And some say he's the action guy with words and action. The other guy was the action guy with fewer words to go by. It leaves one with so much to imagine. Closing the borders, but then some of the resources of Nigeria going out. And the other way around. Now, to limiting the resources of what Nigeria has from going out and also thinking what can come in, which is kind of inversely proportional to each other along the lines of how do we deal with our relations or people outside of our borders. Tinubu is going out, it appears it's getting appraisals from France, from some few other people here and there. Not too sure where the Chinese government stand or the China contractors stand. Not too sure I've heard much from them with regards to what they think about the leadership of Tinubu in light of so many of the other partnership and contracts that they have running, with the Nigerian government, which they successfully are running through the tenure of the Minister of Transportation, former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, who, by the way, everybody believes is rested. Some say he's gone politically silent. But it leaves you with so much to imagine with regards to what works and works well. Okay? What works and works in terms of, okay, we can endure this subsidy payment at 537 naira per litre. And there was speculation this weekend that prices would go as high as 700 naira. And then there was this speculation again that said, no, don't worry, there's no price going anywhere anytime soon. And there were talks about the electricity increase, and there was the part about, well, it hasn't received approval. And there were talks about salary increase for senators, House of Reps, NAS, and every other person in government. And they said, oh, no, the government has not provided approval either on such motion, or should I say, such disposition that is going on in terms of that. But one of those moments was when the president of Guinea-Bissau did visit Nigeria, Umaru Embalo, to talk to President Tinubu along the lines of the affairs and maybe how the affairs will be conducted in days to come. Briefing Nigerians about much of that conversation was the president's spokesperson, or should I say representative of the government thus far, Dele Alake. He spoke about the importance of that meeting. Take a listen to what he said.
It was just what it was. The president of Guinea-Bissau came to visit the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but it was strictly a private visit. It wasn't anything official at all. It was a private visit, and we had to be on hand to receive him. And our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, received him very warmly. And the president of Guinea-Bissau himself exuded some enthusiasm and warmth, which is uncharacteristic, or untypical of what we saw in the past. he was very forthcoming. He was very expressive. He expressed his solidarity with the president of Nigeria and his readiness to cooperate with Nigeria at all times and with our current president. And he commended the laudable and policy initiatives of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the last 1 month. And he said that everybody in the world, in the international community, have been commending his giant strides. So he came to pay his solidarity and to pay courtesy call, as it were, and to bond with him as a brother African head of state in the first instance, and in particular as a brother West African ECOWAS head of state.
This is Morning Crossfire.
All right, so you have that being, pretty much the optics around their meeting in terms of that. But there's also talks about what's going on in court. I mean, you would find someone speaking about how so far the Nigerian judiciary clearly now has so much to look into when it comes to the presidential trial to understand if the electoral justice will be served, or that would look into the affairs of whether Bola Ahmed Tinubu will become will retain his position as the president or be removed from office. At least so argues Mike Ozokeme, who's been talking on behalf of the legal team, where he represents the opposition now, along the lines of the results that they're hoping to get. Take a listen to what Mike Ozokeme did talk about, the fact that they now have strong evidence along the lines of the 2023 elections.
This is Morning Crossfire.
Gravity of the infractions and mishaps that took place during the 25th February 2023 presidential elections, how many people were not allowed to vote, how people were restricted, the violence that took place, the general infractions that made the election not to be generally credible at all. From any prison, you look at it, they made it clear. If one of them believes squarely that Tinubu did not win the election, and he makes no words about that, he believes he did not win. Some of them said he didn't score the required 25% of the votes cast in FCT. And when they asked him, is it your opinion? He says, no, it's not my opinion. It is the law that he should have got 25% of FCT to be declared president. So generally, the thrust of our case today was that the INEC was hasty and wrong in declaring Tinubu the winner of the elections, because every evidence shows that he did not win.
All details.
So that becomes the prime of the argument that there's some feelings building up around that says, oh, well, he did not win, and there are ways to prove that he did not win. All right, well, that we would see how it unfolds. Meanwhile, some issues building up in Rivers State, where Governor Fubara has been speaking there. He's been speaking to the community, the herders community in the state, and he enjoins them to call their people to order that the government will not resist in using force in curbing criminals within the state.
The people of Rivers State felicitate with you as you carry on with your festival. I want to wish you well, that the purpose of this festival, by the special grace of God, it will be met in your desires and aspiration. You're praising Allah for the things He has done, and I believe that He will do more for you people. What we're doing here today is also showing that in as much as the dominant religion in this state still remains Christianity, we do not discourage those of you that believe in the Muslim to also carry out your worship. Our purpose still remains to protect life and property. If your lives are not protected, I don't think you will even be celebrating today. So it means we are in the right course. Our belief and resolve as a state is for a better river state, not just for the indigents, but also for our visitors. I want to appeal to you as the leaders of this group. One way or the other, you have a way of reaching them. Please, see how you can resolve this problem. The local governments are complaining. We don't want to take laws into our hands because we feel that if we have to use all the necessary force, it might escalate and lead to unrestiveness in most of those areas where you do your business. So I want to charge you people, and I think it will not be out of place if I expect a result in the next 1 week or 2 weeks from you, that in Ikwere, in Echie, in Ahoda East, Ahoda West, and part of Emowa, call your people that are doing the business of S-men or whatever they call it, or cattle rearing, call them to order. They shouldn't be harassing our people.
This is Morning Crossfire.
The governor of Rivers State there making things clear on what to expect in days to come. So there are quite a number of parts of the country that are moving cleverly with different levels of response. Meanwhile, in Bayelsa State, the Labour Party there, the Cuba candidate there in Bayelsa State, Udengs Eradiri, is given a rundown of what Governor Diri has done so far and is challenging him, especially on the area of results. Well, we'll get to listen to him after the break. Stay with me right here on Nigeria Info. This is Morning Crossfire with Femi Live.
Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I do it every morning on Morning Crossfire from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Nigeria Info 95.1, and I'm Femi D. Amede. Join the biggest conversation around the national politics every day in a way that is trustworthy, full of passion, and yes, covers the biggest politics and the stories that matter to you. See, you have all the reasons to find out what's going on in Nigeria and be engaged differently. Let's talk. That's the way to go, even this morning.
Audio Jungle. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 This is Nigeria Info.
How Nigeria's NNPC claimed subsidy on pipelines, never existed. That's according to the former governor of Bauchi State. It should be Bauchi State. Issa Yugudu. He spoke about this, and it led to quite a number of, should I say, gymnastics? Yeah, quite a number of dynamics of things going on. Yes, former governor of Bauchi State did speak about it. He was making an appearance on Channels TV and talked about this. Take a listen to this.
This is Morning Crossfire.
I was privileged to serve as the chairman of the subcommittee 2008 and 2009 on the economic meltdown. I was one of the members, 3 of us governors and some other members with Mr. President as chairman. So I chaired the committee on subsidy and everything about the subsidy regime. And then the scam in the subsidy regime was discovered by my committee. And of course, since then, recommendations were made, which unfortunately were never implemented. And it's very sad. I'm sad to let Nigerians know that from what I saw, we came across situations where subsidy was claimed on pipelines that never existed. You just claim that I would have pumped X amount of, either finished products or crude, maybe from Kaduna, from Warri to Kaduna.
By NNPC? Making this claim?
Of course, who else is doing it?
Oh dear.
Those that pump and those that are in the subsidy scam, they just fill papers, invoices, and they claim subsidy on it. In fact, there was an instance of a pipeline that was supposed to exist between Lagos and Warri. And tons of monies were collected on subsidy on a pipeline that never existed. This is Nigeria for you.
But I thought they were telling us that it is marketers and some other persons who are perpetrating the fraud. So NNPC is involved?
They are all involved in these things, all of them. Oh. All of them. And I must sadly also report that, you see, Nigeria subsidy, if it's that part of it that is actually goes for the subsidy, we go on subsidizing sub-Saharan Africa and Central Africa, because the bulk of these products are smuggled out of this country. Then who is subsidizing who?
Wait, that report that you spoke about NNPC, all of them being involved, was it submitted to the government?
Of course it was.
Government knows about this?
Of course, yes, they do. And attempts were made, but I'm telling you, it can be very frustrating in Nigeria to implement policies, especially where there are interest and a cabal that exists.
This is Morning Crossfire.
There goes that famous word, cabal, again showing up this time this week. All right, well, that's something to just think about. I think the interview was from last week. Yeah, it talked about it last week or thereabout on what to expect and the likes of that. But it says a lot about where we are. So, good moves, different opinions, different troubles to deal with existing, the one you inherited, the ones that are being created, and, well, measures that indicate that there's a sense of frustration going on around who is paying what and what, in fact, Nigerians may not even be paying, but definitely are sacrificing to keep things going. They've continued to do so even many years on. Well, let's find out from you what you think. We've got some good time to talk this very morning. The lines remain 0700-951-0000. That's the telephone line, okay? 0700-951-0000. You can also join in on 080-9597-4869. And on WhatsApp, it's 080-999-301-037. We'll end it. Good morning to you.
Yeah. Femi, good morning once again. This is the good man from Kubwa. Wonderful, unbelievable what I'm hearing this morning. Femi D. Just that, Femi, if we want to get things right in this country, we can't work for 4 years. It's okay. 4 years is okay. We just stop. God. Femi, did you hear Easter Abuja now? Femi D.
Yes, I did.
He did not want to continue because they know people that are involved in this scam in this country. You heard him now. He says NNPC. So who was the NNPC minister for 4 years, for 8 years? Femi D. Then let me leave that aside. I had the Shehu Sani, please, please forgive me if I offended you all these days. Try and play that Shehu Sani again, time and time again. If possible, use it as a water marble. That man, I never knew that there is still a Nigerian like that man. He was very from the bottom part of this country. In fact, I respect him. It's just that sometimes when they are in power, you won't hear these things from them. But when they're out of power, you begin to hear these revelations. Wonderful revelations I had this morning. I am so, in fact, I'm beginning to rekindle my hope gradually. But let's see how far it will take us.
All right.
Believe in me sincerely, Femi, to fix this country, like I myself continue to say, it's never a rocket science. There are people who just want to put us in darkness. Finish. Let me stop here.
All right. Thank you, Austin. Good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
The doctor.
Yes, sir.
I greet you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
I greet all the good Nigerians. I greet the last caller, the good man. God bless you. God bless all Nigerians. When we talk, we know what we are saying. Every one of us wants Nigerians to be good. The only thing is that it's in a different perspective. Doctor, can I talk about, let me say, okay, God bless stay with me. But they have been here before last government. You remember the civil society organization member? He went to prison because of democracy. I like him for his doggedness. People like Tinubu, all of them, they are together fighting for democracy. But I want to beg the government of Tinubu, if God said that he will be the one to continue, because the way things are going, I don't think maybe even judiciary will be happy because it affects everybody. They should find solution to this problem. My dear brother, it's not easy. The day I worked last was a last week Tuesday. I parked my car. I'm a taxi driver. I cannot go to work because I know people will not come out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It is today I start work. I bought fuel 14,000. Ask me how much I have paid this money. 14,000 naira fuel is like 24.89 liters. You can imagine they should find something great. It's not bad price. Campaign man is not doing well. Tell him or her. Even I will continue saying, I didn't celebrate to be, I didn't celebrate Tinubu, I didn't celebrate at people. They are all together. But we need to talk to them. Whoever is there, be Yoruba, be Igbo, be Hausa, we need Nigeria to move forward.
All right.
People are suffering.
Let's leave it at that. Grateful to you. Hope upon Emeka from NPC Towers is writing. It says hope in every government in power, but last they ruined all the hopes. Haven't we tried? Aren't we tired of having hope in the government upon government years after years? Oh yes, the service chiefs have been changed. Have they gone to work? Wow, the terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, and headers still on rapid killing, kidnapping, and destroying property of Nigerians. While the service chiefs will let them go to work and help the helpless in those prone areas. The terrorists and bandits are here with us in Nigeria. They live here with us in Nigeria in a known area within the country, and nothing happens to them. Why not seeking for foreign machinery to help us out? Is it rocket science to fish them out and put an end to these insecurities? No. Just because it's very lucrative business enterprise, they can never get it done. Then for how long can these terrorists stop killing innocent Nigerians? Are you still hoping? Keep the hope alive. But to me, I don't have any hope on APC government because there's nothing they're going to offer. God bless you. As always, Emeka from NPC Towers writes that in. All right. I have a message from Chooks from Trade Mall. It says, we are locked in Trade Mall Estate. Okay, that's what his message says this morning. Let me see if I can reach Chooks. It would be good to understand what your perspective is on being locked in this very morning. What does that mean? Okay. Let me read some more messages now. Good morning, Femi. I greet you. Welcome to July. On EU's opinion, I want to remind Nigerians that the EU has standards and they will not sway by our dollars. He writes, and then he says they have done their work and submitted their report. Why the shout? The Nigerians expect to report forceful. This report is being delivered and the court matters are not mutually exclusive to this, okay? The reports to affect the judgment of judiciary on trade law, where has been development control, DC been? They know these things and look the other way. I recall a relative setting off to build a fence, and the next day DC was there stopping the work. If they want to do the right thing, they will, says Nancy. Good morning to you. Oh, that is staying true. All right, let me make an attempt to understand what's going on in Trade Mall, if I can. This very morning, let me see who I can reach them. I mean, somebody says they're locked in there. What does that mean? I think that was a message that did come in from Chooks from Trade Mall. I'm making an attempt to reach him now. What does that mean, even in itself? All right, one more messages while I make an attempt to connect to Chooks. If he's able to take his call, that'll be great. There are all kinds of things that people do, of course, writing. And somebody said it's not proper to put up a correlation between an NGO and as well as a terrorist organization. Of course, there are many defining words that set things right along the lines of that. Okay, let me take more calls in the meantime. Yeah. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
In all this scenario, there have been the resolution. I blame only one person, that is Buhari. He has millions of questions to answer. Whether he is in Daura, Muhammad where he traveled to, or Niger, Tinubu has told him that anywhere you are, you must knock at your door. In fact, as a minister for petroleum for 8 years, as a minister for petroleum for 8 years, now all the ministers appeared before the National Assembly to defend to give account of their stewardship. Was he called? Did he attempt to go there? He has so many things, and all the same he committed against the nation. He will not go scot-free. In Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well, since against the nation, well, let's leave judgment to judge. And to those who can judge. In some cases, God is the only one that knows best. Good morning. Now, somebody is adding Professor. Me and Titus, I'm not so big on them. Femi, happy new month to you and your family. Your Excellency, sir, Yomi from Garki writes that in this very morning as his point of view on this. Mary from Gogolada writes, she says, good morning, FMD. Have we not always said it that fuel subsidy is a scam? What Tinubu should do is to bring those people collecting money for fuel not imported to book if it's not culpable. We can't just allow people to be stealing our money and funding terrorists to come and kill Nigerians. It's not done anywhere. Something should be done. Mary from Gogolada is of that opinion. Papa from Maitama says, Femdi, good morning. See, I have said it before that subsidy is not the problem, but subsidy payment. They deceive Nigerians that they are subsidizing the product that they bring in via the import. But can you imagine this? Subsidizing oil, subsidizing products via pipeline. Kai, this is Badu. Okay, thank you for your message on that as well. Lajegba says, may I correct the impression that subsidy rival was not done by President Bola Tinubu, but former President Muhammadu Buhari. This is because there was no provision for fuel subsidy for the month of July 2023, when the 2023 appropriation was made under the dear watch of Buhari. Here we go. Bankin Utako says, Ozokame's repetition of EU report concerning the 25% of Abuja is preemptive of the election tribunal and unbecoming of his son, who is part of the plan. We should not allow power to make us violate the process of the law in Nigeria. Peace in Nigeria, he writes this very morning. Okay, to keep things going. If is here, if you don't know, it's not just the billionaire on Nigeria Info, it's also troublemaker for me. Welcome. She have stopped the show. She have stopped the show to greet you now. Yeah. Everybody, those who are watching on YouTube, you can see. You can see. Yeah, I just came to. You can imagine. Like your shirt. Wow, nice. You like my shirt. And leopard, they wire your area. They jumped. They didn't give you full light.
Yeah, light. The shirt is well iron. It's just a stubborn guy.
It's just the shirt is stubborn. Wait, the shirt is stubborn.
Yeah.
I believe my fury. No, there are some furies you hide behind your mind that you never see outside. There are clothes you iron and you keep explaining. Now, I iron this cloth. They'll say, no, you did not iron it well. Yes. One thing, you know. But now I believe in my mind that there are materials. Now that you've said it, I can come out and say it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a stubborn guy. And the design makes it worse.
Child, it's okay. How was your weekend?
It was good. I mean, I spoke to you twice.
Yes. What a weekend. What a weekend. See.
But Dr. Femi, I mean, I heard you also meant a gentleman who sent you a message about Trademore Estate. I mean,
I was trying to reach him.
Yeah, that's basically my conversation today.
Oh, and, great.
And in all fairness to you, I mean, I remember when we started Electable Ideas, And when I said I need to talk about flooding and all that, and you gave an approval for that, and we still had conversations about flooding and the likes. Remember when also the former administration was here, I had to bring Ikaru Ata, all those conversations. If Dr. Femi, is painful to say the least what is happening in Trademore, not just with the people, the residents of Trademore Estate, but also with the FCTA on one side. I mean, they are now seeing. They've labeled Trademore as a disaster point, a danger zone. Everybody should...
The entire estate or part of it? Because I'm getting... I mean, somebody called this morning and said it's just a part of it that they marked, and some other person said, no, it's the entire estate or something like that. I got a message like that.
The entire estate is just... I mean, Dr. Femi, when government start telling you that the FCDA did not give approval for such a massive estate with the kind of infrastructure there, then you start to think, how did it grow overnight?
That means that they're eligible to sue the government if they do move on them. If there are paperwork to show that, we got approval for it.
Of course, but I don't know. I don't know if the government is willing to talk to them, because the government is now looking at it from the disaster point that we have been talking about for a long time.
Well, which overrides in many cases, the legal standing that they will have used in court. They will have said, okay, we gave you this, but one thing about those land papers oftentimes is that there's always, I think there's a caveat in the terms and conditions. Nigerians, we try not to read as many things, and there's a reason why all those terms and conditions are in tiny fonts as well. But in many instances, there's also the talk about, if something of disaster or something happens of such magnitude, the government can't override any paperwork and say it's our land, we're revoking this, we're revoking that, based on disaster, based on this, based on threat to life, and there are categorizations for all these kind of things. So even if they were going to go to court to say you can't just knock over our place, the government will say, fine, but we can revoke whatever land papers we've given within the shortest period, and that. And that's where the argument comes on board. But I'm also very concerned. I know that it's difficult for people to say, we're moving away from where it's happening right now, where there's rain going on and floods going on. I'm also concerned that last year it happened. Okay, there was flooding last year. There will be flooding this year. No. And I would have suggested that a year would have been enough to move people.
Exactly my point. I'm talking about government. I mean, one would also say...
To move people or for you to move yourself too?
Yeah, both of them. I mean, if you also need to move, you can't endanger yourself. I mean, the last one they just had there, Dr. Femi, you need to see some vehicles where the flood moved from where it is. A lecturer also lost his life due to that flood. And as we speak, Doctor, I mean, you'd also look at, is there any form of government presence in Trademore Estate? Yes. There's a police station there.
Yes, I heard the police
now marked for demolition. So, I mean, it's more like a daring dance between danger and saving life and property, and also where will these people be moving to? It's a lot of concern, but I mean, at the 10 o'clock hour, we'll just talk about it from
Okay, let me not go and finish your show in 4 minutes. Your entire 3 hours show, I'm going to talk about it in 4 minutes. And by the way, if there's any time that you can give credit to NIMET, I would have to say the last 5 years. I don't even know what changed. I don't know whether they got more technology. I'm talking about the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. I don't know what they got that sees the weather, but it's seeing it right, it's not seeing all over. When we're growing up, when they say there's sunshine, there'll be rain. When we were growing up, that was how it was then. And nothing seems to be following that thing. I mean, you would watch the weather report and you wonder, why is this person wasting time? Because at the end of the day, nothing about the weather report seems to correlate with the occurrence. But this day and age, I mean, last year, the year before, that's in the last 2-3 years, it's been very much on point in terms of their prediction of what could possibly happen with the weather now.
Yeah. And Dr. Femi, I mean, when we talk about this issue around flooding, it looks like the roadmap always pointing to Abuja. It's not even only Abuja. As we speak to you, the federal government actually gave governors a 1-week ultimatum to submit an extensive report on their flood-prone areas.
Yes, I remember that. That was last week, right? That was there were talks about it last week.
But as we speak now, I don't know, Dr. Femi, in all your wisdom, political
We are looking for wisdom. We are looking for ministers.
In all your political
It's
wisdom.
minister that is prone.
Have you heard any governor have submitted anything?
No, and I do, and I'm even more afraid for a state like Kogi State, where they are building up for elections, so everybody doesn't remember that flood is coming. Bayelsa also comes into the picture. I was listening this morning. Unfortunately, I can't even put up. No, I can't play the entire clip, but the Labour Party candidates for Bayelsa, he has literally brought on everything you can describe as, how the governor there didn't do a good job. His name is Udengs Eradiri. He's been talking about how, just running down the affairs of Governor Diri, in Bayelsa State. But Bayelsa last year as well had it in all measure. Helicopter was literally how you move in and out.
I mean, even the
state.
house of the former president,
Yes.
Jonathan, did not also escape that flooding. I don't know.
So think about this. There's this map called undetermined, right? Abuja is undetermined in terms of the flash flood risk potential zone areas, okay? As we have it, okay? But it doesn't mean it's safe. I mean, there are places that have been identified according to this NIMET map. They've been identified as areas where serious flooding can happen. In a lot of the parts, a good part of that looks like in the south zone. But Abuja is marked as one because of the dam and many other areas. And I'll say Sokoto, Kebbi. What's this? What's this? Is this camera number down this place? I came to look. Well, it is definitely back there. But, much of their prediction, they talk about thunderstorm for today, yeah? In Abuja, thunderstorm for today with rain. Similar experience Tuesday, Wednesday. Temperatures 32, 20 degrees. And the likes of that, there's wind also. So if there's any time to follow Nimet and be serious with them, please be serious now. Don't even take them for granted with regards to what they stand for. But we'll leave the condition and the weather condition and the flooding and the likes of that conversation for LFEZ. Yeah. This weekend was an interesting weekend, but it will tell you about this weekend and surely enough also share with you his concerns about what we should be looking at in terms of flood-prone areas in the country and maybe Abuja essentially. Stay with us right here now. Drawing for That's It For Me. I'm Femi D. Amile. God bless you and back tomorrow.
This is Nigeria Info.